Hello guys, welcome back to our maths tutorials, and this is the second lecture of the chapter of real numbers. So a quick recap as to what we covered in the previous video. In that we had covered Euclid's division algorithm, which came from the Euclid's division lemma, which was a equal to bq plus r. That was the formula. And in that we saw how to calculate the HCF of two numbers by long division method, as well as finding out generalizations to operations of a number, which means like finding out a generalized formula for the square of any positive integer or for the cube of any positive integer, etc. So that was what we had covered in the previous lecture. In today's video, what we'll be covering is the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. So the fundamental theorem of arithmetic states that every composite number can be expressed as a product of primes, and this factorization is unique apart from the order in which the factors occur. So let us understand what this statement means. It is stating that fundamental theorem of arithmetic says that every composite number. Now, what are composite numbers? So, numbers are of two types, composite and prime. So, prime numbers are numbers which have only one and that number itself as the factors. Composite numbers are all the other numbers. So, every composite numbers, that means the numbers which have one other numbers smaller than that number and that number itself as its factors. So every composite number can be expressed as a product of primes, and this factorization is unique apart from the order in which the factors occur. So this means that if I say if I find out the prime factors of any particular number, and so for each number the prime factors are going to be unique except for the order. Now obviously we know that if I write 2 into 3 into 5 or 3 into 2 into 5, that is the same thing. So the order does not matter. The prime factors, numbers, are going to be the same. So this is also known as prime factorization, which we have done earlier. So we'll take the example of 32760. So I'm finding out the prime factors of that by this method, which we have already done before in the previous classes. So 32760, we start finding out its factors by the smallest prime number that we know, which is 2. So 2, we divide by 2. We check whether it is divisible by 2. Yes, because it is ending by 0. So 16380. Then 16380 again divisible by 2. So then we get 8190. 8190 is again divisible by 2. So we get 4095. Now 4095. So the next prime number after 2 is 3. So we check whether is it divisible by 3. Yes, the divisibility test of 3, as you all would recall, is that the sum of the digits of the number should be divisible by 3. So 4095. If I add these digits, I get 18. 4 plus 9, 13 plus 5, 18. 18 is divisible by 3, so this number is divisible by 3. I divide by 3, I get 1365. Again, when I add this, I get 15. So this also number is divisible by 3, so I divide by 3, I get 455. Now 455, is it divisible by 3? No, because the digits add up to 14. So I go to the next prime number, which is 5. Is it divisible by 5? Yes, because the last digit is 5. So I divide it, I get 91. Now 91 is divisible by 7. So 7 into 13 gives me 91, and then 13 is another itself a prime number. So 13 ones are 13. So these are the prime factors of 32760. So I can write that as 32760 as 2 into 2 into 2 into 3 into 3 into 5 into 7 into 13. Now 2 into 2 into 2 is actually 2 cube, and 3 into 3 is actually 3 square, and 5, 7, 13 remain as is. So 32760 gets its prime factorization as 2 cube into 3 square into 5 into 7 into 13. So 32760 is a composite number, correct? And we got it as a product of primes. All these numbers are prime numbers, and this order, if we write it on the increasing order, then 32760 will have only one prime factorization. Obviously, if I change the order and if I write 5 first, so then I can get multiple factorization orders. But we always write it in the form of increasing order. So that's why this entire factorization is going to be unique for each and every composite number. Now, what are the applications of the fundamental theorem of arithmetic? There are primarily two applications. One is finding out the LCM and HCF, and second is predicting whether a number raised to any power can give us a number with a certain digit at units place. So what I mean by this we'll see in the later course of the video via some examples, so it will be clearer then. First, let us look at the first application. The question is find HCF and LCM of 510 and 92 by prime factorization method. So I found out the factors of 510, which are 2 into 3 into 15, 2 into 3 into 5 into 17. And 92, I divide by 2, I get 46. 46 divided by 2 is 23. 23 itself is a prime number. So 23 ones are 23. So I write 510 as 2 into 3 into 5 into 17. And 92 as 2 into 2 into 23, which is 2 square into 23. Now, these are the three formulae that we will be using in this chapter to calculate HCF and LCM, both. So HCF, product of HCF is the product of the smallest power of each common prime factor in the numbers. Let us understand what does this mean. Product of smallest power of each common prime factor. So the two numbers that are there, we find out which are their common prime factors. So in the case of 510 and 92, the common prime factors that are there is only 2. So we found out the common prime factor. Then we find out the smallest power of that. So the smallest power in this case was 2:1 and this is 2:2. So 2:1 is the smallest power. And the product. Now out here we have only one prime factor. So it will be only 2. So the HCF or the highest common factor of both these numbers is going to be 2 because the common prime factor, there is only one common prime factor which is 2 and its smallest power is 2:1. So that is the highest common factor. So highest common factor of 510, is 2. Now LCM. LCM is product of greatest power of each prime factor involved in the numbers. So let us understand what does this statement mean. Each prime factor involved. So out here I have, which are the prime factors involved in both these numbers? I have 2, 3, 5, 17 and 23. 2 is again there out here. So product of greatest power of each there. So for each prime factor, I find out its greatest power that is there. So 23 is raised to 1 because there is only 123. There's only 117, there's only 15, there's only 13. But in case of 2, here we have 2:1 and here we have 2:2. We have to find out the greatest power. So we take 2:2. So, and then we take out the product of each of them. So we get 2:2 into 3 into 5 into 17 into 23. 2:2 into 3 into 5 into 17 into 23. When you do the multiplication, you get 23460. Now there is another interesting formula that is there, which says that HCF of two numbers into the LCM of two numbers is going to be the product of the two numbers. Again, HCF of the two numbers into the LCM of the two numbers is going to be the product of the two numbers. Let us check whether this is actually true or not. We found out the HCF to be 2, right? So we write HCF into HCF of 510, 92 into LCM of 510, 92 equal to A into B, 510 into 92. So 2 into LCM is equal to 510 into 92. Let us check what do we get as the LCM via this method. As for what you'll see out here, LCM we are getting it as 510 into 92 upon 2, which also comes out to be 23460, which is the same LCM that we got prior. So this formula is correct. So keep this in mind. If we have either the HCF or the LCM of two numbers, and we have the two numbers, then the other function can be found out. If HCF is given, A and B are given, so LCM can be found out. If LCM is given, A and B is given, so by using this formula, HCF can be found out. Let us look at another example. Find LCM and HCF of 12, 15 and 21 by prime factorization method. So prime factorization method, instead of this, even the question they could ask us that using the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. So it is the same thing, nothing to worry about it. I found out the factors of 12 as 2, 2 and 3, 2 into 2 into 3, which is 2 square into 3. 15 is 3 into 5 and 21 is 3 into 7. Now, highest common factor, recall that it is the product of the smallest power of the common prime factors in all three numbers. So we have 3 as the only common prime number between these three, so only 3 will be the answer for HCF. LCM is the product of the greatest power of each prime factor present in both the numbers. So LCM is going to be we have which are the prime factors that we have? We have 2 square, we have 2, we have 3, we have 5 and 7. Now we have to take each of them into account, but their highest power only. So the 2's highest power is 2 square. So 2 square into 3, all three of them have 3 only. Suppose if one number would have had 3 square, So then we would have taken 3 square. But in this case, you have got only 3 raised to 1. So 3 into 5 into 7. When we multiply this, we get 420. Now let us check. We saw in the previous question that LCM into HCF is equal to the product of the two numbers. Let us check whether that works for this case also. So we take HCF into LCM. So we have HCF as 3, LCM as 420. So when I multiply 3 into 420, I get 1260. And let us multiply the three numbers. We get 12 into 15 into 21 as 3780. So as we can see, 1260 is not equal to 3780. So that indicates that the HCF into LCM of three numbers is not equal to the product of the three numbers. This property is valid only for two numbers. So if in three numbers case, if you are asked, then you have to follow this method to find out the LCM and HCF. You cannot use this formula. Keep this in mind. Moving on. Now, you all may recall that my previous, I had written down two applications that were present. So the second application was stating that it helps us in predicting the units digit for a number raised to any particular other number. So we'll check that in this. We'll understand that by this question. The question states, check whether 6 raised to n can end with the digit 0 for any natural number n. So what they are saying is that if I take 6 and if I take any natural number n, natural numbers are the numbers from 1 up to infinity. So if I take any of those natural numbers, will I get 0 in the units place or not? Let us check that. Now, actually intuitively you all know that 6 raised to any number is going to end with the digit 6, but we actually need to prove it. How do we prove that? For 6 raised to n, for any n, to end with the digit 0, if 6 raised to n was to end with a digit 0, it would have to be divisible by 5, because any digit that any number that ends with 0 is divisible by 5. That is the divisibility test of 5. So for 6 raised to n, for any n were to end with digit 0, it would have to be divisible by 5. So that means that the prime factorization of 6 raised to n would need to have 5 as one of its factors, which contain prime 5. It would have to contain that if it was to end with the digit 0. But we know that 6 raised to n is actually 2 raised to n into 3 raised to n, or 2 into 3 raised to n. So we saw that the prime factorization of 6 raised to n has only two primes, which is 2 and 3. 5 is not present in that. And we know that by fundamental theorem of arithmetic, every number will has a unique prime factorization. Every composite number has a unique prime factorization irrespective of the order. So 6 raised to n, we can have only 2 raised to n into 3 raised to n. It cannot have 5 in that. So the uniqueness of the fundamental theorem of arithmetic guarantees that there are no other primes in the factorization of 6 raised to n. Thus, 6 raised to n can never end with a digit 0 for any natural number n. So in this way, we do not know the value of n. Now, 6 is a very small number. Suppose if you were to have a 3-digit or 4-digit number raised to n, still you would be able to find out via this process by finding out the prime factors of that number. If the prime factors of that number have the number with which the divisibility test works out for 0 or any other n digit, then that number can end with that digit. So this is a simple example that we have taken for 6 raised to n. You can try this for any example that you want. Now comes the application part of HCF and LCM. You will not always get questions as to directly find out the HCF and LCM of two numbers. You need to understand the applications of this concept of HCF and LCM. So we'll see that by word problems. The question states, an army contingent of 616 members is to march behind an army band of 32 members in a parade. The two groups are to march in the same number of columns. What is the maximum number of columns in which they can march? Now, what is the maximum number of columns? So there are, in this, what will we find out? Will we find out HCF or will we find out LCM? So there are two ways. One is the shortcut method and one is the proper method. So what is the question asking? That we have got 616 members in the front. 32 members in the front, 616 members in the back, and we have to align them in certain number of columns. So the number of people are there that we need to reduce them and arrange them in smaller number of columns. So that means that we need to find out a number which is obviously going to be smaller than both those numbers, both 616 and 32, in such a way that all the members can walk in specific number of columns. So that is one way. So that we are come to know. And second is that what is the maximum number that they have asked. So maximum, we know that HCF stands for highest common factor. So the word highest itself tells us, and the word max tells us that we need to find out the HCF of the members. So what is the maximum? So we have to find out HCF of 616 and 32. Finding out the HCF is pretty simple. We already saw as to how it has to be done. We found out the prime factorization of 616 and 32. 616 gives us the prime factorization as 2 cube into 7 into 11. 32 gives us the prime factorization as 2 raised to 5. The HCF, again, recall HCF was the product of the smallest power of the prime factors common to both the numbers. So the only prime factor that is common to both these numbers is 2, and we take its smallest power, which is 2 cube. So 2 cube is 8, so they can march in 8 columns. Next question, and last question for today's video. There is a circular path around a sports field. Sonia takes 18 minutes to drive one round of the field, while Ravi takes 12 minutes for the same. Suppose they start at the same time from the same point and go in the same direction. After how many minutes will they meet at the starting point? So we need to find out the in how less a time will they be able to meet each other. So that means we need to find out the lowest common multiple. In the sense, what do we need to do? That is, if Sonia takes 18 minutes to drive one round, so in 2 rounds she'll take 36 minutes, 3 rounds she'll take 54 minutes, so on and so forth. And Ravi takes 12 minutes for the same. So for the first round he'll take 12 minutes, second round he'll take 24 minutes, third round he'll take 36 minutes. So in short, we have to find out their multiplication table in which we get a common number. So if we if we see, then 18 2s are 36 and 12 3s are 36. So 36 is the number that we are looking for, but that is essentially the LCM that we are finding out. So LCM of 18 12, 18 is, again, I'm not done the factorization, you all can do that. 18 is equal to 2 into 3 into 3, which is 2 into 3 square. 12 is 2 into 2 into 3, which is 2 square into 3. LCM of two numbers, again, recall that LCM is the product of the greatest number of all the divisors included in both the numbers. All the prime factors, sorry. So the greatest power. So we have two prime factors, 2 and 3. We take the highest power of both of them. So 2 highest power is 2 square, 3 highest power is 3 square. So I get 36 minutes. So they'll meet at the starting point after 36 minutes. Okay, that's all for today's lecture. In the next lecture, we'll be looking at irrational numbers and certain properties related to that. Thank you. Have a safe day ahead. Bye.